Hello and welcome to Culture Cubby, the podcast that is not afraid to say, please Mr. Producer, make a sequel. I am your host, Julian Sosa, along with
Michael Sosa.
And today we are talking about the movie Infestation. Thank you for filling in for Jared. Much appreciated. Jared couldn't be here today, so Michael's filling in today, and we're talking about one that was major in our home. I was working at Blockbuster at the time, and we lived with a friend of ours. So it was the three of us in an apartment, and in this movie they play this game where basically you say somebody's name, and when they react or when they ask you what, you ignore them. And we used to play that in the house.
Yo, Ed.
What? This little game. Dumb.
Definitely a house favorite for us all the way till the end of us living together with him. Like you were saying earlier off camera, his reactions definitely made that game what it was, and we love and miss you, Luis.
He's still alive, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
This movie is super underrated, I feel like. This was one that I ended up obsessing over for a long time. So just to kind of go over the plot a bit, Infestation is about a guy that he's being fired, never really did anything with his life. In the middle of being fired, this noise knocks everybody out, and he wakes up covered in like almost like a web, and there's like giant insects around, and everybody not only where he's at but like outside and stuff, they've been covered up in this webbing. And so the movie carries on with him kind of exploring this world with other survivors and trying to figure out like what happened.
I think it still stood for me, over time. I thought visually it actually wasn't that bad, especially for a B movie. But characters were all, I thought, super fun. Obviously a lot of it for a B movie, very guessable plot and all that stuff, but it's still very fun, and I think everyone kind of did a great job in the movie.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at how well it held up, because I think it was just one of those for me that sometimes you look back on a movie with fondness and then you revisit it and it just doesn't.
It's like a letdown, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's certainly for me one that I'm like, wow, this movie deserves to be defended more.
I would think, it definitely needs to be defended, but I would still like a follow-up to it as well.
Yeah, so I was going to bring up, I remember when this movie first came out and we watched it a few times, we were playing the game. I was like desperately looking online like all the time, seeing if there was a sequel in the works. The director would pop up in an interview and they'd ask him about it, and he'd say, I would love to do it. And unfortunately it just never came to fruition.
Especially with how it ended. Spoiler for the end coming.
Right, yeah, because it does end in a way, it ends with them kind of like looking off into the distance and like strongly reacting to something, and then it cuts out, kind of like you mentioned, Sopranos.
Like a Soprano moment before Snow? No, that was after Sopranos.
For a movie that is what you would consider kind of a B movie, I thought the acting in this from a lot of the actors was pretty great. The lead in this, Chris Marquette, which I'm hoping I'm saying his name right, he's just great in everything that I see him in.
That's really good.
Yep, loved him in Fanboys, all that stuff. So
right, like just he's just always delivering, and he freaking delivers a performance in this that I think is like, when you watch the rest of the film and the rest of the acting, it's all pretty. There's a lot of good coming from places. There's some bad, just to be honest. But he's like one of those, like, you could tell that some of the stuff is improvised by him.
Oh, yeah. He was, even though, yeah, he was the main also the comic relief in there. I think his comic relief in it was actually pretty solid. A lot of his stuff was actually still funny. Again, from 2009, things that I probably wouldn't think I'd be laughing at, still laughing at because of how well he delivers his jokes and how well he actually acted in it, which, again, solid all around performance by him.
Yeah, even some of the dramatic stuff he did really well with. There's one line in this that I guess is a combination, but basically there's these giant human bug hybrids, and he sees a couple people that he knows like turn into them, and he's talking to Sarah, and he's like, if I turn into one of those things, don't kill me, just run the other way. I just always thought that was the funniest thing to say, but like he delivers it to where like you think he's gonna give you the typical,
whole
like,
take my life, don't let me turn into one of those.
Yeah.
I love it because I feel like in any sort of post-apocalyptic thing, I would want that for me. Like if I turn in any sort of way, don't kill me. I want to live on the other side now.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. So speaking of those giant monsters, this movie looked good.
Yeah. Again, a B movie usually. I mean, I think of newer B movies and how bad they are visually, graphics. I'm always thinking, gosh, anytime I watch a B movie, it's just dreadful. And you watch this one, and again, those hybrid creatures, fantastic. I'm really wondering, and I should have dove a little bit deeper. I feel like some of the bug creatures were maybe
like practical.
Yeah, because a lot of the scenes, even when they're fighting, they seem to have such a good like grip of where the creatures are.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I feel like even in some A-list movies sometimes, when there's those fight scenes, you're not... It feels a little off because, yeah, they're using like a little stick to, hey, work around this. But it felt like maybe they had to use some sort of puppetry or animatronic type of bug and then threw some CGI to make it a little bit better.
Yeah, because especially at the time that we first saw this, again, it's about 2009 it came out, we were really into those like sci-fi, or when I say sci-fi movies, I mean movies on the Sci-Fi Channel. That they're intentionally made to be bad.
Yeah.
So we used to watch a ton of those, get a lot of fun watching them, and just like poking fun at what's going on. But it definitely, this is like far beyond what those are.
Oh yeah.
Like this was taken far more seriously. The writing is much better. The acting is much better. How the film looks. I'm not saying the bugs look perfect, but for what's a low budget film, they looked pretty damn good.
Oh yeah. I was actually again watching it since whenever the last time I had seen it, years and years and years ago, probably 10 plus years. In fact, I think my favorite character, which is funny enough, is Hugo. I actually thought his acting was amazing for someone playing a deaf person and how spot on he was.
Sarah, the female lead, I thought she was kind of flat in the beginning. I didn't understand why she was so angry in the beginning.
Well, my only issue, I guess, with the movie was Sarah's character. I felt like they tried to push her in like 3 different characters,
Yeah.
They first establish her as a med student, doctor, and then later on you find out her doctorate's in psychology.
Yeah, which I guess is weird because, like, in the beginning, they used her being a doctor to justify why she knew certain things.
Right. And then it switched totally into psychiatry. And then...
So it's like, why did she know that stuff then?
Right. Just kind of like the masseuse knowing to extract venom. Like, why does this masseuse know to extract venom? And then how quickly her characters just toss off to the side of, oh, she's going to stay behind to wake more people.
Yeah, I feel like that has to be like, they didn't want to give you like the stereotypical, or not stereotypical, but like, it would have been like, oh, so this scientist just so happened to be in the area, and they now have a scientist with them.
A
so
scientist, a
like,
doctor.
Right, they're like, so instead they're like, well, these people aren't actually like scientists and doctors. And it's like, okay, well, I get maybe you thought it would be weird if those people were around, but now it's just weirder that these people who are not in the same field.
It's just like it was one of those classic. Like I said, it's very, you can tell what's going to happen next movies. But I felt like they tried to establish, your base core. You got the big brute, Hugo. You got the scientist lady out of nowhere. You got a doctor, and then you got your comedic relief. And then they immediately cut off, the scientist with, she's actually a masseuse who, again, knows all about proteins and venom and how to look at them through her scientific ways. And then, doctor. And then, again, speaking on to Sarah, it switches her a third time to where she wanted to be a biker chick. So then she becomes, towards the end of the movie, the tough girl, biker girl. And I think I was making a joke. Her outfit obviously his outfit is how it is.
Yeah.
She never wears that.
Yeah.
Obviously that was a marketing thing, but
right. They also never use those weapons. Like she never. I don't think she ever used.
No, his dad had a machine gun at one point, but
and he never uses a tennis racket.
No, never. And the bugs are not that small, anyways.
Yeah, that is funny.
So clearly they tried to do the biker there on the cover, and then switched her over to in the actual movie what she is, and that was just hilarious to me. That split her 3 different ways.
Yeah, so when they first meet, he takes his boss out who was firing him. She starts going, "Oh my god, my daughter should be outside." So they go outside, and he's like helping her, who is his boss's daughter, and as she's like fumbling with her, she ends up like pepper spraying him because she doesn't know what's going on. And then her mom is in the background. Her mom just gets like picked up by this giant monster.
Take it away. And what I had loved in that too is she didn't express much emotion to seeing your parent. Like you get
exactly what I was gonna bring up.
You get waking up. You pepper spray a random dude. You see your mother being swooped away by God knows what because your head is probably still foggy. And I just love that it was just okay, let me help this. I get it, okay, I gotta help this guy, but to me, I'd be freaking the hell out.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Her reaction should have been more like upset, or just panicked. She just all of a sudden is like cool, but like also just really angry, like as if our lead had anything to do with what just happened to her mom. Just like really angry, not very like sad or scared. Very odd. One of the other characters that I felt like kind of comes off a little cheesy, but like there's always in these, I'll say this is kind of a post-apocalyptic feeling film, in the fact that like everything has been taken over. And they're kind of, it feels like a zombie movie throughout a lot of it, but there's this character, she's like a weather girl that they get out of one of these cocoons, and she's crazy.
Like right off the start too.
Right, like she kind of acts like she doesn't quite understand what's going on and doesn't really care what's going on. Tries to attach herself to the main character
almost immediately.
Right, yeah. And I feel like a lot of these movies have to have that character. That crazy character that makes things more difficult than they need it to be.
Oh, yeah, because she obviously puts them in a very bad situation towards, I'd say, the middle of the movie. But, yeah, they made her crazy so quick and attached her so quick. But I felt like they did it very poorly with the attachment aspect, because he didn't really establish himself as the macho leader guy, and so it made really no sense on why she attached herself to him and started to go crazy. That character probably could have just not been in the movie.
Yeah, I do like. I would have liked to have seen that her death played out a bit more, in the sense that so she sees Cooper and Sarah holding hands, and then she decides to call over the bugs because the bugs can't hear, or yeah, so
They can't
the
see.
bugs can't see,
Yeah.
so they're attracted to sound. So it's like as long as you're quiet, but she's shouting for the bugs to come get them, and then Hugo's dad, who's another character we haven't talked about yet, shoots her. I thought that it would be cool if they played that out a bit, like dramatically, like, you know, maybe the rest of the group like is afraid of him after he shoots her.
Yeah, because the whole thing with him, obviously, now we'll backtrack a little bit on that. Hugo's dad, in a scene, gets stung in the back. So how you see the hybrids are, one of the flying ones will sting you in the back and infect you, essentially, turning you into this hybrid spider person thing that does their bidding, essentially, is just the cocoon collectors. And so Hugo's dad ends up getting stung. I would have loved to see like more of the mental change. I think they did that kind of, you see it, but you don't get to see it fully. I would have loved to see, especially with him shooting her, him losing his humanity and going like, kind of like more like what, like,
Yeah.
not, oh, she wouldn't stop, she was being so loud. Which, yeah, I get that aspect too, but clearly, you're changing into this mindless drone of a bug that has one job, because obviously, insects all are kind of one-minded. This is the job we do, blah, blah, blah. And I would have loved to see that kind of transition into, kind of like with zombies, you start to kind of lose who you are. I think a great movie who did that was The Crazies, future movie. But yeah, I wanted to see that mindless transfer, and it kind of just seemed like they transferred it quick.
Yeah.
Which it would have been so much better with that aspect.
Which I think actually does speak to the like how much better this film has no business being as good as I think it is.
No.
And I do think that that's still, even though we're kind of maybe bringing up shortcomings, talks to how good the film is, because there are like dramatic parts in this, and for a comedy monster movie to make you care about characters, I think is really difficult. Even if you look at like the MonsterVerse right now with Godzilla and King Kong, like you very rarely care about what's going on with the human characters in that. And in this, like, there's genuinely like I care what happens with Cooper, the Hugo and his dad, like that's a very interesting and sad story there. Them going to the home and finding his wife, Hugo's mother, dead. And like throughout the film, Hugo's dad has these moments where he's like, I'm all about my son, his safety. When he finds out that he's a bug, he asks Sarah, like, hey, you would take care of my son, right? Like the way that you are with Cooper. Just beautiful. Something I would never expect out of something like this.
No, yeah, I would never expect any sort of like true character development like that in a B movie. Usually the B movies are just plot, and then over. But this one definitely, it makes you feel, and yeah, as a father, you go, oh yeah, I would definitely want someone watching over my kid, and I get that, and I was able to connect with that, and I think they did that scene very well, because I think that was a little bit of you seeing him realizing what's soon to be his downfall, because they had obviously just interacted with a hybrid for the first time, and then boom, he starts losing a tooth, he pulls a tooth out, realizing that he's kind of turning into something, and then going, wow, I'm going to leave my son all by himself here soon. And that was a great script flip for the dramatic aspect of it.
I will say, one thing that I found funny was how Hugo's dad, how good he was with the shotgun. Like, that's one of those like that is a bad movie thing where like somebody's really good with a weapon in the wrong way. Like, you shouldn't be able to use a shotgun like a rifle or like a sniper.
Yeah, well, that was Cooper too, when Crazy Lady was getting brought the bugs over, and they were taking Hugo's dad away. He got swooped up, and dude used it, yeah, like a sniper rifle, a 2-shot buckshot. I don't know obviously if he was using a slug or a buckshot. I'm gonna guess for argument's sake it was a slug and not a buckshot, but still to use it like a sniper and perfectly shoot down, the bug and not hit Hugo's dad was just like wow. Because
it kind of made so like when the lady's first screaming, it's like she's screaming, and then it's
Sarah and Cooper, yeah.
Sarah. And then he like shoots between them to shoot her.
Yeah, obviously if that was a buckshot, they all just get splattered from that.
I'm like, oh, that's okay, but that
shoots her directly hard in the chest middle, and then Cooper picks up the shotgun, and he's a sniper. I get his dad's in the military, but their relationship, obviously, from the beginning seemed a little rocky. So that was just hilarious that, yeah, anyone who picks up a gun in a horror sci-fi movie is just an expert shooter.
Right. That's the whole thing. They're trying to get to his dad, because his dad is apparently
ex-military,
kind of like crazy bunker person, has all the supplies and stuff. So they get to the dad, and the dad to me was a little more cartoony than all the other characters. Like he does like throw it off a little bit.
Yeah, his character, as soon as he's established, is screaming outside for his little dog. So of course it's the tough guy, military, but has a little fuzzy dog out there in the world now, and he's scared for it. Calls it Cooper's sister, which upset Cooper, and that it's an animal. I know there's going to be some people that think they're people. So sorry. But yeah, it was too quick, the stereotypical macho, okay, I'm now going to take over.
So like the dad isn't around that much, but there's quite a bit of like character development with his character.
Yeah.
And him realizing like his son, Sarah gets abducted by one of the bugs and taken to like their nest, and Cooper wants to go save her, and I think like his father eventually comes around, so like really accepting Cooper for having been changed.
Yeah, because then his change comes due to him being stung, and all of them, his father, yes, getting stung, and Cooper had been captured by vigilantes trying to kill off the ones that were turning, because obviously they knew.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit. That was weird to me. So like we were because we watched this movie together, we were laughing that like they were technically right.
Yeah.
Because they abduct the three of them, and then another gentleman who's
who was abducted first, yeah.
And he turns into one of the spider human hybrid people, and then it's revealed that's when it's revealed that his dad also was stung. So it's like they were 50% correct.
Hey, 50% of the time, they're right all the time. So.
But also, it's just kind of a dumb idea.
Yeah.
Like, if you think these people are, like, infected, why keep them around you?
Yeah, I would, like, I think you had said it, why not just kill them right then and there if you think they're...
Yeah, they're locking them up in cells. It's like, if you genuinely think that they could be monsters, I guess maybe they weren't, like, the bad guys, like, per se. They were like, we want to hold you for a few days and see if you turn. And then maybe they would let them go at that point.
Yeah, I think it was just like a quick thing to establish the dad being stung out of nowhere, because obviously the dad wanted to just go to safety wherever they were going to go, and Cooper wanted to go save the girl because he's the hero now. And to establish that the dad turning over a new leaf, they threw this quick weird scenario thing, because yeah, these people, it just didn't make sense. It's like, okay, so they must have also seen some hybrids, but why aren't they shooting people? They didn't establish why they were really doing it. Like, maybe they were in a group of people, someone got turned, killed off half the group type situation. No establishment in that, and I guess, that's to be expected in those kind of movies.
It's a small movie. It's low budget. I think I saw. I tried to look up what the budget of this was. I think estimates were like $3.5 million, which is more than I expected. But also, like, man, I would have loved to have seen this movie with a bigger budget. And I want to see this director, like, do something with a large budget. I know he's done stuff throughout, but yeah, I want to see more of it. But I mean, for a bug comedy movie,
definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's fun. You know, it's not perfect, obviously. Definitely, all varying degrees of like acting in it, but it looks good. Story's solid. If you watch it and you like it, you are just going to be crushed by that ending.
Yeah.
Because every time I see it, I'm just like,
I want to know. Yeah, I want to know what they were seeing that they, because when you watch it and you see them, it's not a panic, and it's not, but it's also not a like, oh wow, we're saved.
They almost seem excited, or I don't know.
It's such a mixed bag. I think it's worse than The Sopranos, because The Sopranos one is just like cut off mid-sentence.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like whatever. But this one, it's like, again, you're not seeing joy out of them, but you're not seeing fear. So it's like, what is it that they all had to stop and go like, oh my God, you know?
Right, and I think that's the only time Hugo speaks, right?
That's the set. He speaks twice.
Oh,
so that, yeah.
Okay. It's funny, if I could speak to any director, like, I'm able to speak to Spielberg, I'm able to speak to Christopher Nolan, I'd probably speak to this director, because I gotta know what's the end of this movie. I guess Chris Marquette and the director of this signed on initially for 3 pictures. Like, they signed a contract so that if the first one was successful, then they would make 2 sequels to this. Unfortunately, 2009, it's 2024 now, I don't think we're going to see it. Which is a damn shame.
At least they got paid.
But something you'd recommend?
Oh, I'd recommend it 100%. I think it's a great watch, especially on a day like for us today. It was raining, cloudy. It was just a fun little movie to kind of, you know, sit back, relax, eat some popcorn, and watch. Because it's a fun movie. I think it's genuinely fun. And again, you've watched it multiple times. I mean, I know when we lived together, we watched it multiple times just because we enjoyed it. So yeah, that was definitely solid. I would recommend it. And prepare to be saddened by that ending.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Go watch the movie, definitely. Thank you again for filling in for Jared. Hopefully Jared will be back for the next one, but we'll see.
I don't got too many of these in me.
All right. Thank you.